This trick is called Independent Tangler, and it looks like this. To perform this trick, first you're going to want to start with a breakaway, and rather than landing it in a trapeze as we usually would, instead we're going to let that breakaway just come down over top of our opposite hand pointer finger. Then we're going to want to pinch the string right above the yo-yo, loosen our grip on the counterweight, and let the counterweight slide down. Then you'll notice that we have these 3 string segments, and you want these 3 string segments to be roughly equal in length. And then the next thing you want to do is take a look at how you're pinching the string. So you actually don't want the string wrapped and looped over your pointer fingers. Instead, you want to pinch it between your thumb and your pointer finger, and that's going to matter a lot later on in the trick. So once you have your string proportions right and the pinch is correct, then we have to take a step forward, a small step forward, with our throw hand foot so that we can put the yo-yo into the proper plane against our body. Then you want to swing the yo-yo and the counterweight out and then up and over the string so that you're starting 2 pinwheels. And this is the most basic form of Independent Tangler, and there's a couple things that you want to keep in mind when you're doing this trick. The first thing is that you want the planes of the yo-yo and the counterweight to be perfectly parallel. If one's crossing over the other, you're going to get a knot and the trick's not going to work properly. The second thing to consider is that because the yo-yo and the counterweight are going around that middle segment that's not moving, you're getting all these wraps around that middle segment of string. And you'll see how these wraps are nice and clean and organized, and that helps the pinch come undone later. And that's because I'm pulling that middle string segment tight and taut so that it's nice and clean. But if I keep the middle string segment loose, the string will double or triple over itself, which will cause you to get a knot. So once we have those 2 things in mind, you just want to practice mastering this basic trick. And if you're having a hard time doing this, especially if you're a new 5A player who's not used to controlling the yo-yo and the counterweight independently, you can actually practice this trick with a dead yo-yo, and the trick will work just the same way. So once we've learned the first part of the trick, now it's time to start thinking about how we're going to perform the butterfly stall. And this can be pretty tricky because you have to move your hands in opposite directions. And if you're not used to doing this, your brain signals kind of get mixed up on the way to your hands. It's kind of like rubbing your stomach and patting your head at the same time. It's just difficult. But we have some good tips for you that should make that motion click. So let's start there. So first things first, we want to think about what we're going to be doing with the yo-yo. So this is the part of the trick that we're actually stalling. So when you're doing your pinwheels, just like how we taught you in our basic stall video, you want to move your hand in the direction that the yo-yo is going, and then you can pull back and reverse the direction of the pinwheels. So that's pretty easy. Now it's time to think about what we're going to be doing with the counterweight. And throughout this whole trick, the counterweight is actually always going to be doing the same thing. You're never going to reverse the direction, you're never going to change the direction. You just want to focus on keeping that counterweight nice and in plane. So it's really important that you have this counterweight pinwheel motion down cold, because you want to be thinking about this as little as possible so that you can be thinking about the yo-yo as much as possible. So one thing that really helps just keeping the counterweight spin consistent is keeping your throw arm really stiff and rigid and not moving your throw hand at all. When you're doing the butterfly stall itself, you want to keep your throw hand rock solid right where it is and only move your non-throw hand to stall the yo-yo. So I'm not bringing both hands forward to stall, I'm only bringing my non-throw hand forward to stall it. So once you have that down, and it might take a little practice, now we need to think about how we're going to dismount from the trick. So to do that, first we're going to think about the counterweight. And just like how we taught you to catch a 360, you want to take these bottom 3 fingers and stick them toward yourself. And then you want the counterweight string to come over those 3 fingers. Then you can drop the pinch, catch the counterweight, and pull out. So we're going to do just the same thing, but in the opposite direction with the yo-yo. So after the butterfly stall, you're going to stick out those 3 fingers and let the yo-yo string come over top. And then you can let go of the pinch, and then you can stick out your pointer finger. And because the yo-yo is already going in that direction, you can go into an undermount and perform a bind. If you're still having a hard time learning this trick, it is a difficult one. You can practice it with a dead yo-yo, but remember that the true trick is with a spinning yo-yo. And that is Independent Tangler. So now that we've mastered the basic independent tangler, now it's time to work on adding the butterfly stall. And this can be pretty tricky because the yo-yo can fly right out of your hand. And that's just no good because then you can't do a bind because the yo-yo's not in your hand. Come on, go with the program. Because the yo-yo's already moving in that direction, you can go into an undermount and perform a bind. And that is, I forgot the name of the trick.
It's the Independent Tangler.
Independent tangler. That is independent tangler.
We forgot something though.
What?